Okay, okay, listen to this. The Roman Empire lasted for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years. That means if Rome had Instagram when it started, it would have seen the rise of TikTok, streaming, cell phones, computers, electricity, cars, trains, planes, and still been around. That's how long we're talking. So here's the question. How do you build something that powerful? And maybe more importantly, how do you lose it? I'm Jack, and today on Blueprints of Power, we're cracking the code on history's most legendary empire. Let's do this.
Schemes in the shadows, plans in the light. Kings and conquerors chasing the night. Brick by brick, their stories grow tall. But every empire learns how to fall.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Blueprints of Power. I'm Jack.
I'm Lily.
And I'm Charlie.
And on this show, we break down history's greatest empires, how they built their power, and how they lost it. Today, we're diving into the big one, the empire everyone thinks about.
Wait, are we talking about...
The Roman Empire.
Yes, finally.
Rome ruled for over 1,000 years, controlled most of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, and invented half the stuff we still use today: roads, concrete, arches, the calendar.
The Senate, written laws, aqueducts that brought water into cities.
And gladiator fights. Don't forget the gladiators.
Of course, that's what you remember.
But seriously, at its peak, the Roman Empire had around 70 million people. That was about 20% of the entire world's population at the time.
Wait, 1 in every 5 people on Earth was Roman?
Basically, yeah.
That's insane. So today we're going through it all. The rise, the reign, and the fall. How did a tiny village become the world's superpower? What made them so dominant? And what finally brought them down?
Spoiler alert, they got too cocky.
That's actually not wrong.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Lily, take us back. How did Rome even start?
Okay, so around 753 BC, that's almost 3,000 years ago, there's this little cluster of villages on 7 hills in what's now Italy. It's nothing special, just farmers, some shepherds, not a lot going on.
Classic underdog story.
Exactly, but according to legend, the city was founded by these twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, who were raised by a wolf.
Wait, hold on, a wolf?
A wolf. The story goes that they were abandoned as babies. A wolf found them and nursed them, and eventually they decided to build a city. Then Romulus kills Remus in an argument and names the city after himself, Rome.
So Rome's origin story is basically a wolf adoption and a murder.
When you put it that way, yes.
Okay, but wolves and murder aside, what actually made Rome powerful early on?
Location. They were right on the Tiber River, which meant water, trade routes, and protection. Plus, those 7 hills gave them natural defense, but the real game changer was that they started absorbing other tribes around them.
Like conquering them?
Sometimes, but other times they'd just invite them to join. Rome was actually pretty smart about this. If you joined them, you got citizenship, protection, and rights. That's how they grew fast.
So they're like, hey, wanna be Roman? Cool, you're in.
Pretty much. And by around 509 BC, they kicked out their last king and formed the Roman Republic.
Which means?
Which means no more kings. They created a system where leaders were elected, laws were written down, and power was shared. They had 2 consuls who ruled together, a senate that made decisions, and assemblies where citizens voted.
Wait, this is sounding like democracy.
It was, sort of, but only men who owned land could vote, and the rich had way more power.
So democracy, but with swords and togas.
Sure, but this system worked, right?
It worked incredibly well. Because power wasn't in one person's hands, Rome stayed stable, and that let them focus on expanding.
How'd they expand?
The army. Rome built one of the most disciplined, organized fighting forces in history. Soldiers were trained constantly. They used formations like the testudo.
The what?
Testudo. It's Latin for tortoise. Soldiers would lock their shields together above and around them like a shell. Almost nothing could break through.
That's genius.
So they had great tactics. What else?
Roads. Rome built roads everywhere they conquered. Over 250,000 miles of roads eventually. That meant troops could move fast, messages could travel quickly, and trade could flow.
They basically built the internet, but with stones.
I mean, kind of, and all those roads connected back to Rome, which is why we say all roads lead to Rome.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
Yep, and by 270 BC, Rome controlled the entire Italian peninsula. Then they fought Carthage in the Punic Wars, brutal wars that lasted decades, and one that gave them control of the Mediterranean Sea.
So now they're not just a city, they're a superpower.
Exactly, and that's when things really take off.
All right, folks, listen up real quick. If you're loving this episode, do us a huge favor real quick. Hit that follow button. Subscribe to Blueprints of Power wherever you're listening. We've got so many incredible empires coming up. The Mongols, the Ottomans, the Aztecs, the British Empire. And you're not going to want to miss any of them. Also, share this with your friends. Send it to your parents, your teachers. Post it on your socials. Tell literally anyone who likes history, power, or just cool stories. And if you're feeling extra awesome, leave us a review. Seriously, it helps more people find the show, and we read every single one. All right, back to Rome, because we're about to get into how they ran the greatest empire the ancient world had ever seen. Let's get back to the episode.
All right, so Rome's a superpower now. They control the Mediterranean, they've got roads, they've got a killer army. But how do they actually keep all this power?
Great question, because conquering is one thing, ruling is way harder. Rome had a recipe for power, and it had a lot of ingredients.
I'm ready for this recipe.
Okay, ingredient number 1, infrastructure. Rome built things that lasted. Aqueducts that brought fresh water into cities from miles away bridges. Amphitheaters, public baths, the Colosseum.
The Colosseum, that's where the gladiators fought, right?
Yep, it could hold 50,000 people. That's bigger than most concerts today.
So they built big. What else?
Ingredient number 2, engineering and innovation. Roman concrete is still around today, over 2,000 years later. Some of their buildings are still standing. We don't even know exactly how they made it.
Wait, we've lost the recipe?
Basically, yeah. They used volcanic ash in their concrete, and it made it incredibly strong. Modern scientists are still trying to recreate it.
That's actually wild.
Ingredient number 3, the military. Rome had legions, units of about 5,000 soldiers, stationed all across the empire. They kept order, defended borders, and crushed rebellions. The army wasn't just fighters either. They built roads, bridges, and forts.
So they were engineers and soldiers.
Exactly. And if you served 25 years in the army, you got land and citizenship when you retired.
So they're basically like, join the army, get benefits.
Yep, smart system.
What about the government? How'd they keep 70 million people organized?
Ingredient number 4, law and order. Rome created a legal system that's still the foundation for a lot of modern law. They wrote everything down, your rights, the rules, how trials worked. It was called the 12 Tables.
So everyone knew the rules.
Exactly, and that made things predictable. People trusted the system, even if they didn't always like it.
Okay, but at some point they stopped being a republic, right? Didn't they get emperors?
Yes! So around 27 BC, after a bunch of civil wars, this guy named Octavian took power and became Augustus, Rome's first emperor.
Wait, Augustus? Like the month August?
Yep, named after him. So is July. Julius Caesar got that one.
Hold on, back up. Who's Julius Caesar?
Okay, so before Augustus, there was Julius Caesar. He was a brilliant general who conquered Gaul, modern-day France, and became super popular. But the Senate got scared of how much power he had, so they assassinated him.
Like stabbed him?
Stabbed him 23 times in the Senate by his friends.
Brutal.
And that's when Augustus took over?
Yeah, he was Caesar's heir, but Augustus was smart. He didn't call himself king or dictator. He just quietly took all the power and called himself first citizen. He kept the Senate around, but he made the real decisions.
So he made it look like the Republic was still alive.
Exactly. And it worked. Augustus ruled for 40 years, brought peace, expanded the empire, and built incredible things. People called it the Pax Romana, Roman peace.
That's a vibe.
It really was. Ingredient number 5, culture and identity. Rome gave people something to be proud of. If you were Roman, you were part of something huge. You had roads, aqueducts, protection, entertainment, laws, and they spread Roman culture everywhere. Language, architecture, gods, traditions.
So they made people want to be Roman.
Exactly. They even let conquered people become citizens if they adapted Roman ways.
That's actually pretty smart. Like, join us, and you can be great too.
Right. And ingredient number 6, trade and economy. Rome controlled the Mediterranean, which meant they controlled the trade. Grain from Egypt, olive oil from Spain, silk from the East money flowed in, and that funded the army, the buildings, the whole system.
So they had the military, the infrastructure, the culture, the economy, they had it all.
For a while, yes. At its peak, around 117 AD, under the Emperor Trajan, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to the Middle East. It was the most powerful force on the planet.
So, what goes wrong?
Yeah, what goes wrong?
Before we get into how Rome fell, I just want to say thank you for listening to Blueprints of Power. If you're enjoying this, please share it with someone, a friend, a sibling, a teacher, anyone who loves history or just cool stories about how the world works. Next week, we're covering the Mongol Empire, the fastest growing empire in history. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you haven't already, leave us a review or rating. It really helps us keep making this show for you. We're building this community together, and we love hearing from you. All right, time to talk about how even the mighty Roman Empire eventually fell. Let's get into it.
So, Rome's at its peak. They're running most of the known world. What happens?
It didn't fall in one day. It was slow, like a crack in a wall that keeps spreading.
Avo.
First problem, overexpansion. Rome got so big that it became really hard to defend. The borders were thousands of miles long, and keeping troops everywhere was crazy expensive.
So they're stretched too thin.
Exactly. And at the same time, they're dealing with corruption. Emperors stopped being chosen based on ability. Some were just rich guys who bribed their way in. Others were generals who took power by force.
So leadership got bad.
Really bad. There was one stretch called the Crisis of the 3rd Century, where Rome had 26 emperors in 50 years. Most of them were assassinated or killed in battle.
26 emperors.
Yep, total chaos. And while Rome was fighting itself, barbarian tribes were pushing in from the north. The Visigoths, the Vandals, the Huns, they saw that Rome was weak and they attacked.
The Huns, like Attila the Hun.
Exactly. Attila was one of the most feared leaders in history. He led massive armies and devastated Roman territories.
So they're getting attacked from the outside and falling apart on the inside.
Right. And then the economy collapsed. Rome relied on conquering new lands to get wealth, gold, slaves, resources. But once they stopped expanding, the money stopped flowing. In meanwhile, they were spending tons on the army, on buildings, on bribes.
So they ran out of money.
Basically, they even started making coins with less silver in them, which made inflation go crazy. People stopped trusting Roman currency.
That's a big problem.
Huge. And then, in 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian split the empire in two, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. He thought it would be easier to manage.
Did it work?
For a little while. The eastern half, which became the Byzantine Empire, lasted another 1,000 years. But the western half kept declining.
What was the final blow?
In 410 AD, the Visigoths invaded and sacked the city of Rome. It was the first time in 800 years that Rome had been captured. People were shocked.
That's like New York City falling.
Exactly. And then in 476 AD, a Germanic leader named Odoacer overthrew the last Roman emperor in the West, a teenager named Romulus Augustulus.
Wait, Romulus, like the founder?
Yep, the empire started with a Romulus and ended with a Romulus. Kind of poetic.
That's actually crazy.
And that was it. The Western Roman Empire was over. But here's the thing. Even though the political empire fell, Roman culture didn't. Latin became the foundation for languages like Italian, Spanish, French. Roman law influenced legal systems worldwide. Roman architecture inspired buildings for centuries. The Catholic Church kept Roman traditions alive.
So the empire fell, but the influence didn't.
Exactly. Rome's legacy is still everywhere.
Okay, so we've covered the rise, the reign, and the fall of Rome. Now comes the big question. What can we actually learn from all this?
Ooh, I got one.
Go ahead.
Don't overextend. Rome tried to rule too much, and they couldn't hold it. It's like if you try to carry 10 pizza boxes at once. Eventually, you're gonna drop them all.
That's actually a perfect analogy.
So know your limits.
Exactly. Focus on what you can actually manage.
I love it. Lily, what about you?
I think the big lesson for me is that systems are stronger than individuals. Rome's republic lasted centuries because power was shared and laws were written down. But once emperors took all the power, things got unstable. Good systems outlast any single leader.
That's huge. Systems over personalities.
Yep.
All right, mine's this. Rome built something people wanted to be part of. They created an identity. And even after the empire fell, that identity lived on the lesson. Legacy isn't about how long you last. It's about what you leave behind.
Ooh, I like that.
That's really good.
So there you go. 3 lessons from Rome. Don't overextend, build strong systems, and think about your legacy.
Wow, I'm inspired.
Good. All right. Next week, we're covering the Mongol Empire, the fastest growing empire in history. Genghis Khan, horseback warriors, and an empire that stretched from China to Europe in just a few decades.
Wait, that fast?
That fast.
I'm already hyped.
Same. All right. That's it for today. Thanks for hanging with us on Blueprints of Power.
I'm Lily.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Jack. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.